All right, good evening and welcome, or what? Do you need something first? Okay. Well, good evening and welcome. We are convened as the Provo City School District Board of Education. Today is Tuesday, April 19th, 2022. We are meeting at 280 West, 940 North in Provo, Utah, and the time is 7:05 p.m. We will begin with a roll call, and I will start down with Derek Anderson.
Derek Anderson, Business Administrator.
Gina Hales, Board Member.
Jennifer Partridge, Board Member.
Rebecca Nielsen, Board Vice President.
Melanie Hall, Board President.
Keith Rutell, Superintendent.
McKay Jensen, Board Member.
Terry McCabe, Board Member.
Nate Bryson, Board Member.
All right, and is there a motion to convene?
I move we convene the business meeting.
All right, we are now in our business meeting. I have the opportunity to give our opening remarks, and I would just like to begin with a word of prayer, if you will join me. Our dear, kind, gracious Heavenly Father, we're so grateful that we could meet here this evening as a school board. We're grateful for the opportunity to serve the children of this district. We ask you to please bless us as we go ahead with decisions that we will be inspired to know how to move forward with this district and to make the best decisions possible for the students and teachers and faculty and all those that work here. We're grateful for all thy many blessings, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance, and it will be led by Doug Finch, our Director of Student Services.
Audience, please stand. Please repeat with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Next, we get to do employee recognition, which is our Provo Way Awards. So I'm going to turn the time over to Jason Cox, our Deputy Superintendent of HR.
Thank you and good evening. Again, we have such a wonderful opportunity to recognize a large group of people tonight. We're excited about that. These are fantastic people who are part of our district. If they're here in the audience, we'd love to have them stand up and be recognized. This is the group we're honoring tonight. We have June Sanford, Kim Gishi, Leanne Parker, Juliana Marsh, and we have the whole kitchen staff at Dixon Middle School. So that group is Kathy Espinosa, Lynn Greenlaw, Rocio Casillas, Catherine Kidrick, Robin Mortensen, and Marcia Simmons. And so we're going to go ahead and see the presentations that we made in the school through the video. Afterward, we'd love to have these people have the opportunity to be thanked by you personally for the work that they do. So we'll go to that point.
Good morning. We're part of the Celebrations Committee for Provo City School District, and we are here to award Kim Gishi the Provo Way Award. She doesn't know we're here, so we're going to surprise her. Come join us with the fun.
Kim, I'm Jennifer on the school board, and on behalf of the Board of Education, I want to thank you for all that you do. I hear that you are just wonderful working with the students and helping them find success here, and that you help with the morale of the whole faculty, which I know is so important, and they appreciate you. So thank you for exemplifying the Provo Way. We want to give you this gift.
Kim, thank you for all that you do for our students and staff here at Provo Peaks. We're really blessed to have you here, and you do such an amazing job for really everyone here. So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, we are here at Dixon Middle School, and we're representing the Celebrations Committee for the Provo City School District. We are here to surprise Kathy Espinosa and her child nutrition team for the amazing work that they do with the Provo Way Awards. So let's go get them.
We just want to say thank you so much for the work that you do every day. On behalf of the school board and the district administration, we want to recognize that you've done a lot of work over the course of this year where it's been difficult to have all of our employees and those types of things. So we want to say thank you.
Really quickly, these ladies are amazing, like most of our lunch ladies around the district are, but a standout example, which is just a case in point of why they're so awesome. We had about half of our students leave the building, go on a little field trip. They went to a movie. and they got back from the movie after lunch. But these ladies stayed, had a separate lunch prepared for these students. Students got off the bus, came in the building, ate their lunch just like they normally would have in a separate environment, actually, because they had just gotten back from the field trip. It's as if they hadn't skipped a beat, even though it was really the third lunch these ladies had served that day. Just another example of the amazing work they do all year long. Thank you so much, ladies. You're awesome.
Thank you.
I wanted to personally thank you too. I know I'm pretty new and I haven't gotten to know you all very well, but you guys are just an exceptional team. You work really, really well together. You're always willing to go above and beyond, and it just is really clear how much you care about the kids and doing a good job and making quality food for them and just taking care of them every day. You're always willing to help other schools out when they need help. Sometimes they send workers to other schools that are in need. You guys are just wonderful, exceptional team.
Good morning. We are the Celebrations Committee, and we are here at Sunset View Elementary to recognize one of our amazing employees, Leanne Parker. Follow me. Let's celebrate her.
Great place. I love being here with the students at Sunset View, and I love being here working with the great people that we have here at Sunset View. We have great teachers and principals and paraprofessionals, and it just couldn't be a better place. So this is an honor that I really have to send back to my colleagues and my students, and I just love being here. So thank you. I'm really kind of humbled by this. Thank you.
Well, on behalf of the school board, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing awesome work here.
A little pot of gold on St. Patrick's Day. Thank you.
I get to brag about Leanne now for a little bit, and it's so easy to do that. This award is a long time coming, well deserved for Leanne. I think we need a Where's Leanne app at our school because she's always out helping someone. She just took care of the STEM fair where she had multiple students in her office daily for hours at a time where they were cooking rice and incubating eggs, and her patient husband was taking her to and from school, and he oftentimes had to wait for a couple hours as Leanne was always helping someone in need. She's the glue on our team. We love her, and this is a celebration of all the work that she's done here.
Thank you.
So we are so lucky to have Leanne at Sunset View. She is amazing, and she does, like Mr. Bringhurst said, she just does so much for our kids and for our staff. She is the mother of our school, and we are so lucky to have her. So let's give it up for Mrs. Parker one more time, guys. Woo!
Good morning. We're here at the district office to celebrate Juliana Marsh. She was nominated for the Provo Way Award, and we're going to go surprise her.
We would just want to thank you for all the work that you do. We know that you keep Clay in order, right? And we're glad it's your favorite. We know that you help so many teachers with just all the different things that they do in the CTE program, making sure that they have the vehicles, the different kinds of supplies, the support that they need. So we want to say thank you.
Yeah, and so everybody that knows Juliana knows how much work she puts in, and she's always, always one of the last ones here and one of the first ones here, and taking care of all of our teachers, and especially me here in CTE, making sure we're doing what we should. And there's a lot to do, and we had to learn it on the fly, and she did a great job of keeping us in order, and everybody appreciates everything she does.
Hi, we are here representing the Celebrations Committee for Provo City School District to celebrate June Sanford with a Provo Way Award here at East Bay Post High School. So let's go surprise her.
So on behalf of the board, we want to say thank you for everything that you've done for our school district. We've heard wonderful things. So this is for you.
Oh, okay.
And
wonderful. June works hard. She's reliable. She always comes with a good attitude. She's taken on some really hard challenges, and she always does it with the best attitude. So we're lucky to have her.
We're so lucky to have June here at East Bay Post High. As Donna said, June has some of the most difficult students in Provo School District. She always handles it just very professionally, always very focused on our students, and we just appreciate her more than anybody will ever know.
All right, let's give them another round of applause. Shake hands with the school board members. So if you're here, please come on up and we'll have you start right over here. Be careful because we have a cord here in the middle that we don't want anyone to trip on, but please come up and we'd love to let them thank you personally.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
I love working. I think we can do this now. Thank you. So great.
Thank you.
Just out of your house.
Always one of my favorite parts of our business meeting is to get to celebrate those wonderful workers here in our school district. So next we're going to have a school report, Provo High School. So I'm going to turn the time over to our principal, Jared Seitz.
Well, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to come. This last year as the new principal of Provo High School, I've truly enjoyed every day of it, and I consider it an honor to work there. It's a wonderful community, and over the next few minutes, I'd love to share some information about Provo High School that will kind of help paint a picture of our current reality, a chance to celebrate some of the things that we do very well every day, and also identify some of the heavy lifting that we need to organize ourselves to address. I apologize, make sure I get the right. Here's the enrollment summary of yesterday morning at Provo High School. As you can see, the overall total of students is 1,937. That number has ranged anywhere from as high as 1,976 to about this number. This demonstrates about an increase of 20 students from the previous year and 15 from the previous year to that. And so Provo High School, with some of the new construction in the area, we're beginning to see growth in the area. There are some raw numbers there that show you the size of each of our classes that we have. We have a very large freshman class that has come in. In an upcoming slide, I'm going to break that down a little further for you. Could you click on that link? Here's some specific data about the enrollment at Provo High School. As you can see, the demographic breakdown of our students. Overall, 53% of our students are represented as Caucasian, and 47% of our students are of a minority background. This year, you can see that number of economically disadvantaged is 36%. That number is lower than it has been in years past. And I believe that's because the number of individuals applying for free and reduced lunch, that number is down because the federal government is providing that free of charge. In years past, that number has been anywhere from 44 to 49%. 12% of our students are English language learners. Can you scroll up a little bit for me? Down, excuse me. Some information about our teachers. There are 84 teachers in the building. 19% are in their first 3 years. Another 16% in 4 to 6 years. And about 65% of our teachers have taught for 7 or more years. On any given year, we'll see about a third of our teachers turnover. We conducted interviews today and yesterday for multiple positions, and we'll continue to post in the coming days. Most of our individual teachers are credentialed appropriately. We do have a few hard to fill positions from time to time where we have to find individuals that do not have the appropriate licensing. Could you go back up and select that performance tab? Here in the data gateway, this will show you the performance numbers based upon the Aspire assessment that's given the 9th and 10th grade students. That was actually given today at Provo High School as well. This number is from last spring, where 48% of our students met that standard or exceeded that standard in language arts. And yet in mathematics and science, you can see that those numbers are much lower. If you could select on View Details, we can see how they compare with the state average. The state average in language arts is a 48% proficiency rate. We as a school are performing at that level. However, we are behind in mathematics as well as in science. And these are some of the areas that we'll identify as some of the areas that we need to do the heaviest of lifting. Can we go back to the original slide presentation? Just another point of data. The average composite score for juniors during the 2021 school year was 19.4 on the ACT. This year, we administered the ACT again for the junior class. Only 338 students were in attendance that day for a free ACT exam. It's an area of concern. We received the raw data, and overall, they're still working to aggregate the scores for us. Those are several of our goals as our measuring points, is what is the composite score for the ACT at Provo High School. Some of the challenges I have written here in the dark color, and the purple color represents some of the ways that we're addressing them. Attendance since COVID has become a concern in many of our schools, and we're not immune to that at Provo High School. 24% of our students on a daily basis, almost 1 in 4 students were seeing absent from school. It is troubling because they miss out on instruction, and then it creates additional stress to our teachers trying to help them get caught up on instruction. We continue to work with our counselors and support staff to reach out to parents. We battle that message of urgency and sometimes facing apathy on the other end of that, but there's definitely been a change in attendance that we see at Provo High School every day. Some of the other areas that we challenge is there's a high number of students failing in mathematics. We continue to refine our standards-based grading practices and provide more formative data to students. If you're not familiar with that practice, standards-based grading does not typically include formative feedback, and many times the student's not receiving a grade until the end of an assessment is given. That has created a lot of frustration in our community. It's created a lot of frustrations for our students, and we have to push a refine or a reset button on that in the years to come. We're also allocating our ESSER funds and school community council funds to address class size and to provide more sports staff during the school day and as part of an after-school program. Another area of challenge at Provo High School is there's a persistent problem in the inability to hire these support staff members we talk about. Throughout the year, many positions have gone unfilled. Several have gone through 4, even a 5th posting, and we were still never able to hire an aide for our ASL teacher, for instance. This is a legitimate challenge, and despite the efforts that we've made in trying to advertise through colleges, universities, through the public, in collaboration with HR, and we continue to have minimal success in filling these support positions. We have a very strong skeleton of what we need at the school, but the number of support staff, for instance, our lunch room right now is staffed at only 6 members at a comprehensive high school. It's a challenge that we have every day. Teacher and staff absences, in addition to student absences, have been a challenge. Though the number of substitutes that are filling these vacancies has improved, we still continue to rely on internal staff members to cover. This trend really challenges the quality of instruction that's given on a daily basis and the types of support that we can provide for students. There's been a multi-year trend of turnover in the mathematics department. Teacher retention is also becoming more of a challenge. Through COVID, we're recognizing that there are many people who have chosen, not many, but some have opted to not return to the profession. We meet as a new teacher academy each quarter with the administration, with our mentor teachers. We review a lot, we listen, and we provide support and mentoring on a regular basis to try to help our teachers. And as many schools have shared with you, there are instances of teacher burnout and stress. We've seen a lot of different emotions and turnover. There was an active shooter situation on September 17th. There's a lot of stress. We've tried to simplify, to reduce the workload. We began the year with an advisory period, but as the year progressed, in addition to attendance matters factoring into that, the teacher stress level led us to cancel the advisory and to really try to streamline things and reduce the stress levels. Those are some of the challenges and what we're trying to do to address them. Yet there's so many points of pride and so many good things that I couldn't fit into one page. The Provo High School community is exceptional. Our PTA and the School Community Council are strong participants in all that we do. They're waiting to be asked. We have so many alumni that are seeking to come back and be a part of Provo High School. This evening we introduced a new basketball coach who brought several alumni members to help coach and his staff, and just the energy associated with that for these alumni is something that is very contagious and a source of pride for Provo High School. There are new traditions that are evolving with the new building. The new building is beautiful. We love it. A homecoming parade through the community around the school. Our student leadership continues to build on a past tradition and refining it of a food drive to donate to the community. Our welding program is exceptional. Our CTE programs and these teams, in fact, we have one team heading to Atlanta later this week, heading to national competitions. We have a group of both Provo High and Timpview students at a robotics competition in Houston this week. Recently, there's been a strong performing arts presence of successes, both in festivals and just the energy associated with them. We're beginning to develop stronger community partnerships. Ivory Homes has a large development just north of the school. They still have several phases to go, and they want to continue to partner with us to support us. We have individuals from the airport, and under Clay Bingham's direction, we have strong program partners through the CAPS program. And again, I echo this again, our alumni want to be a part of Provo High School. We talk about some of these new and evolving academic programs. We talked about CAPS, but heritage studies, more and more research is showing that students of a minority background, when they study their heritage language and they study their culture, they perform so much better. Our teachers have begun to offer and to seek additional courses every year. Currently, we have a People of the Pacific, a Chicano Studies class, and Latinos in Action. These are really wonderful programs where our minority students are getting a chance to study their culture and a chance to have a voice at the school. Other points of pride, our support staff are just exceptional. We have a strong leadership team who's willing to challenge some of these assumptions and these challenges that we've pointed out today. They provide feedback to me and to my administrative team related to the professional development, especially we're tackling grading as one of those things we're talking about right now. Credit recovery is making a significant difference towards graduation. However, this feels like an ambulance service in that we want this to be more of a prevention instead of just responding after a student fails. However, the number of students making up lost credit, it is making a difference. There's a lot of energy and excitement in the community, and our staff recognizes where we need to have urgency and improve and where we can celebrate the things that are happening at Provo High School. As we move forward into the future, we want to address these things. Attendance is one of the most important things. Before we came, I had a conversation with our PTA president over the phone, brainstorming with her how we can continue to address this and get more and more community support. Our goal is to provide ongoing support before a student fails a class, both to improve the quality of the first Tier 1 instruction and then to provide more interventions in mathematics for our English language learners in English in our science classrooms. And again, to do these during the school day and not after a student has failed. AVID is one vehicle that will help us with this to provide professional developments for our teachers, specifically to promote discussion, to teach students how to plan, and to do writing and note-taking to improve their academic achievement. We want to continue to improve our parent and alumni participation. There's some great momentum, and we don't want to lose that. And we want to, as I mentioned before, is to refine or push reset on these standards-based grading practices that as a school we've explored, but currently we are not implementing as well as we should be. Those are the thoughts that I prepared for you tonight. I wonder if you have any questions about Provo High School that I can answer for you.
I do. So every time I go to Provo High and speak in the classes, the one thing that feedback I get from the students is, when is the lunchroom going to be expanded, and when can we have better lunch? They want better food options. That's all I ever get back.
Yeah, as you and I talked about the other day, we have to share that message with child nutrition.
And I always tell them to email you.
Yeah.
So hopefully, instead of Nate's, they're emailing you.
I just had a few this last week, but not many. So, thank you, Terry.
I have a quick question.
Rebecca?
I did chat with you briefly, I believe, like right after you canceled the advisory period at school, but I'm interested to hear now that it's been a little while what your feedback is and if people have given positive.
Much less stress.
Okay.
I mean, if you really think about an additional class period, we typically run 4 periods a day. We introduced a 5th with advisory. And I shared some data with Rebecca in our conversation that on February 10th, over 1,300 of our students were either absent or tardy to that period. it just was not working. And our teachers, the stress level was why we pushed reset. As I met with our department chairs, every one of them has thanked me for that. However, there are a few ideals in advisory that we're looking to try to find another way to implement that going into the next year. And that might mean extending one class period and incorporating some of those issues with teaching students how to plan, for instance, to do grade checks at the end of second period or fourth period or third period, whichever period we land on. And so, though they recognize the reduction in stress, there's a few ideals from that advisor that they want to retain.
Awesome, thanks.
So this attendance challenge, what are some of the spitballs flying around the motivators? I mean, education is just different. I think there's an expectation we'll just go back, but I don't know if there's a going back.
I hope we can get closer though than where we currently are.
Right.
I think right now we're finding that the best intervention is some sort of a voice-to-voice interaction with the parent, whether that's face-to-face over the phone. We automate phone calls every day at 10 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and yet we're finding that the computer number is either whitelisted or the students have it directed to their own phone, and the number of letters that we're sending home, our culture is changing a little bit in that there's certain types of mail or phone calls that are easier to ignore. And it really requires us to roll up our sleeves to help with this. I think there's also a misperception that because during COVID we were so reliant upon Canvas to deliver instruction that students feel that it's really an independent schedule for them. And teachers were having this battle with them trying to hold the line and say, no, I can have a deadline at the end of a term. And yet students who were gone for 8 to 10 days of that term want us to extend that deadline for them. And that's a real wrestle that we're having right now. Where teachers, we do continue to work with them, but at some point, students are recognizing it's easier to not put in the effort immediately because we have bent over backwards to assist them for so long. And that's just a real wrestle that we have, okay?
So one of the strengths of Provo High has always been attachment. I mean, so you see that in your alumni and your community, and people are attached to the school and the environment they're attached. Can we, leverage that in some way to make it easier to, again, one of the things that would be great to go back to is if you show up, you're going to pass the class, pretty much. That I don't know if it's easier, but attaching attendance to achievement, sort of, if even a marketing campaign that attendance and achievement just go together versus that this other way. But it's harder, by the way. It's always harder to do an online class. It's always harder to do these other things. I would just go with your strengths. I hope we get a copy of your presentation because I talk about the challenges that education is in overall with lots of policymakers, and it's sobering to see the real things in a real location, especially around morale of teachers and stress of teachers and what they're trying to accomplish. But there are so many points of pride. I appreciate and please take back to your staff that your school board certainly knows that Provo High is always on the upswing in our mind. I mean, it bears the name of our district, and there is no one that feels that is misplaced, that this is the flag bearer of our whole community, and we just think that's terrific, and we encourage them. Mathematics is always that challenge, and what are we thinking there? Is that, I mean, teachers don't like it when we pay them different when they teach a different subject, or what's the creative thinking that needs board support in around mathematics?
I'm not sure I have a definitive answer on that, but I know in the direction that I would like to have some more teacher retention, and there's been turnover year after year at Provo High School, And the reality is we have to have the willingness to challenge some assumptions about how we're teaching math. I mean, even though our achievement rate was in the 24%, even across the state, it's below 40%. Mathematics instruction we are struggling across the entire state in the way we teach math. And I think having teachers year after year that we could focus on the target long enough, I believe we're going to begin to see those results change. I don't know if there's another prescriptive additive that we can give to it right now, but we need to challenge the way that we're teaching math instruction right now. I think we rely too much on independent practice and not enough on guided practice or small group and dialogue.
Yeah, great. You're doing great.
Thank you. Well, thank you. If there are no other questions, I'm going to go watch our soccer team ranked to #1 in state for the second half. So
that's exciting. I hope they win.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Jared. All right, we've come to the portion of our public input. If you would like to address the board, on my right, your left is a paper that we would ask you to fill out and then hand it to Bonnie, our secretary, and then we will call you forward. You'll be given 3 minutes unless you've been approved to talk for more than just yourself, if you're speaking on behalf of a group. What we would like you to do is when you come and approach the board, if you would state your name and what area of town you're from, so that we're aware of that. So we'll first invite Lynn Tromley to come speak to us, and you'll be given 5 minutes.
I think I'll take that long. As you said, I'm Lynn Tromley, and I first of all wanted to thank you. I was able to sit in on that meeting that you had, and I really enjoyed that. I had a lot of insight into how things are working, and this is so good to be here because I feel like I'm with friends because I've been in the districts for so long and just retired not very long ago. But I'm also with a group of parents that I wanted to represent them. They had a couple of questions that they wanted to put to you. One of the big things was, and you addressed this today when I was listening, they're requiring more transparency in the district. With different things that are going on, they feel like they're not in the loop as much as they'd like to be. Each month, one of the things we were asking that you set aside a time in board meetings to respond to parents and come up with possible action plans for their requests and their concerns. The show of interest would go a long way in establishing trust with the parents. I know that recently they wrote quite a few letters to the district, and from what I understand, none of the letters or emails were addressed. So that was one thing. The other one is there is a feeling that the parents are being marginalized and underserved, and that the attention is being centered on special interest groups. They feel that, and so do I, the accountability needs to be to parents and not so much to the state first. And the last issue was academic testing and surveys. This is multifaceted, okay, are intrusive and confusing with the amount and some of the surveys that are given out. And I, being an educator, I understand the need or the desire to measure student progress is something that we have to do. But most testing is done instead, correct me if I'm wrong, to inform districts of teacher instruction. I know that we've had meetings before the academic year and then after where it was concentrated on the tests that were given. And I, being a teacher in the classroom, I saw so much stress with the kids. They thought it was going to call them out. They felt like they would be kind of pinpointed as to what they were able to do. I had numerous students come up and ask me about that, and I said, no, don't worry about it, but this is the kind of feeling that they get. And it's my understanding that the schools must have a written consent to the parents in order to administer surveys of any kind. And I don't know that they're getting that. So, hey, do you have questions for me? Make them really easy, okay? Any questions, concerns?
So we use public input time as a time for people to speak to the board, and we don't respond during public input.
Hey, I'm grateful for that.
We would be happy
Thank
to,
you.
if you have,
we have your email, and I have your
can
email.
address, yes.
Yes.
Email.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate being here, and I appreciate sitting in the last couple hours. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Young. Good evening. Thank you so much. Thank you, Superintendent Rattel and board members, for the time and opportunity to speak. My name is Lisa Young. I've lived in Northwest Provo, close to Lakeview Elementary, for the past 11 years with my family. My husband and I have 4 children, and they've either graduated or are still attending Lakeview Elementary, Dixon Middle School, or Provo High Schools. This year, I've worked at Lakeview as an instructional assistant, specifically in reading interventions, and I'm looking forward to returning next year in our ELL program. I've been learning this year firsthand how much effort, attention, and love our Provo district employees invest in the children in the community. I also understand better now that each child in our schools has unique needs and often unique challenges. Prior to working for the school district, I was very happy with the experiences that my children had at school, and I still am. I considered myself an inclusive, compassionate person, but I was also coming from a place of assuming that my experience was everybody's experience. I knew very little about the diverse needs in our community. I've heard some people worry that things like diversity, equity, and inclusion training is a distraction from education, or even a political stunt. I think there may have been a time that I would have misunderstood it in the same way. But in the last 9 months, I've seen how our growing and increasingly diverse school district can benefit from these skills. Not every student and family has the resources that they need and deserve. Not every student and family has the support that they need and deserve. And I believe that we can change this little by little. Thank you for preparing and considering the diversity, equity, and inclusion statement that you'll be voting on today. I find it thoughtful, concise, and an excellent beginning to us developing and implementing skills and actions that can better serve all of our students. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much. Katie Wilkie.
Hello, my name is Katie Wilkie, and I also live by Lakeview Elementary. My husband and I live over by Provo High School, and we have 2 kids, ages 7 and 3. And I just wanted to also make a statement about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I also really appreciate the work that's been done on the DEI statement. I think it's excellent. I just wanted to share a really brief experience related to DEI with my daughter that I had recently. I had my daughter go to her bookshelf, and I had her pull out all the books because we wanted to see kind of what books we had, and I told her to separate it into 3 different piles. I told her to do a pile if the characters were animals or made-up creatures or robots, things like that. Another pile if the character had white skin, and another pile if the character was a character of color, Black, Indigenous, Latino, Pacific Islander, Asian, that sort of thing. And so she went to work on that for a couple of hours, and I go in later and she says, "Mom, come and look at this." She had all her piles laid out on the floor, and it was interesting. We had about 50% of our books were about like animals and miscellaneous, and about like 45% of our books with characters of white skin, and then there was just a short stack of like 5% of our books of people of color. And I could see this light bulb go off for my 7-year-old daughter. She was like, really surprised by this result. And she said, "Mom, this isn't fair. Why aren't there more books about people of color?" And I said, "Well, actually, there's plenty of really great books about people of color. We just don't have many." And so we looked at Emmy Kim's list of diverse books here from Provo School District. We looked for other sources, and we started to get more and more books about people of color in our home. And it's been so good. And I just wanted to suggest that there's a principle here that applies both to the books that are in my home and also to our schools and our communities. And I feel like it's that there's this beautiful richness of diversity in our world, but we really have to deliberately and intentionally go out of our way to make sure that in our spaces we're making extra room for those that aren't typically seen and celebrated, and just to make sure that we provide them with extra attention to have everything that they need to thrive and to feel valued and seen. And I think just like with my bookshelves, it's not something that happens naturally. It's not something that we can leave to the status quo. It has to be we need to be deliberate about it. And I'm already loving seeing my daughter reading these new diverse books about people from different, who don't look like her, and just the amazing things that they are doing and the things that she is learning that we were really missing out on before. And that's why I feel like this DEI statement can be such a great starting point, and it's just so valuable because I really feel that when we take action to prioritize our schools and communities being equitable, like we really all will benefit. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close our public input and we're going to move on to our business item. Oh, but first I wanted to say thank you so much for coming and sharing. The things I heard was that we should look for more transparency, that we need more parent involvement, and that there's support for our DEI statement. So again, thank you for coming and addressing the board to this evening. Next, we're going to talk about formally adopting our Provo City School District DEI statement. So, Keith, do you want to speak anything about this first, or?
Sure. So this has been many months in the making, and it's been through several iterations. Student Services, under the direction of Doug Finch and Jason Garrison, and Brian Yazzie and others have been involved in developing this, and the board has reviewed several times, and we're ready to move forward with it and apply it. We do have a plan of implementation that is developing. First step, though, is for formal approval from the board.
All right, I would like to just actually read what the diversity, equity, inclusion statement is, and then we will have a formal motion. In Provo City School District, we value diversity, equity, and inclusion of all employees, students, parents, families, and the community we serve. The uniquely diverse population in Provo School District is a strength. The intentional creation of supportive educational and social experiences for all is built on these premises. We firmly believe that students are capable of learning. It is a collective responsibility of Provo City School District's community of students, staff, teachers, administration, and parents/guardians to support an environment conducive to learning and one that fosters mutual respect. Our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion means that we dedicate ourselves to creating and nurturing an environment which all people can thrive regardless of race, gender, marital status, sexual orientation, gender identity, political belief, physical or mental disability, ethnicity, socioeconomic level, age, or religion. We invite collaboration and teamwork from all community members to contribute ideas, perspectives, and experiences in order to cultivate a community of shared accountability and leadership. Our community-centered approach includes equitable distribution resources such as funding programs, policies, initiatives, and supports. These equitably allocated resources should address student and family needs and help ensure all students have access to high quality education and extracurricular activities. Provo City School District strives to be a place of support, safety, and understanding. As we collectively prepare students to contribute to our diverse community, we endeavor to foster a culture where everyone in our buildings feels safe, valued, and that they belong. Is there a motion?
I wholeheartedly motion to formally adopt our Provo City School District Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Statement.
Motion made by Board Member Partridge. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Board Member Hales. Is there any further discussion on this motion?
I just want to say thank you to the two commenters tonight. I think you were a lot more eloquent than I can be, and I appreciate what you shared.
I do think this is important. We just saw a presentation from a school that showed the strength of our community. The strength of our community is who we are. That means we have to recognize who we are and see who we are clearly. I'm very supportive of this effort. I especially like the eloquent way that we've come across to say all means all. That's what we believe in education. We don't believe in scarcity of knowledge. We don't believe in scarcity of opportunity that there's only so much high quality education we could do. We have an abundance of opportunity where we live. We should be grateful about where we live. We should be grateful for its heritage that gave us that abundance, and that abundance should be distributed for all. All means all, and we should be conscious and really thoughtful about how we do that, and recognize what all means.
I spoke to this in the study session, but just to reiterate, for those who didn't watch or haven't watched it, I wanted to be really clear, kind of like what Board Member Jensen said. All means all. I've gotten some questions about, does this include my student who may not be what some people, special interest group, or someone who is not underrepresented typically? And my resounding answer to that is yes. Absolutely, yes. If you do not feel that this statement includes you, please come and talk to me, come and talk to somebody up here. I've been involved in talks not from the ground up, it started before I was on the board. But every meeting I've been to has included every student, not just students who are a certain color or certain ability level or certain race, certain religion. It includes everybody, right? And because we're helping one group here doesn't mean we can't help one group here. I've also been approached by a number of people about the fact that perhaps maybe in other districts and other states and on the national level that's not what diversity, equity, and inclusion is. And I can't speak to what other districts are doing. I don't know. I do know what's happening here because I've made it a point to know what's happening here. And what I know is that this group of people that I have worked with, my guess is that everybody has some fairly strong political viewpoints. I don't hear them. I don't hear them in meetings. What I hear in meetings is, how do we best care for our students? And how do we include the parents in that? And it has been so gloriously apolitical. It's like a refuge sometimes for me to not have to deal with all of the politics that are out there. And so I know that there has been people have brought to me some concerns that this is a political thing and that we're following national political trends for one way or the other. And I just want to reiterate that I can't speak for everybody here, but my experience in working with this and working with this district is that politics does not, things enter into it here and there, but politics isn't one of them. And I don't know what other people are doing with DEI in their districts, but I know what we're doing in our district, and absolutely, this statement includes everybody. All, I like what McKay said, all means all. That means you. I don't know who you are, I can't see you, I feel like where's the camera? I'm looking at you. All means all. And if you feel that this is not the intent, then come and talk to one of us, please. We want to include absolutely everyone, whether you're in the majority or not. We want to see you. We do see you. And this statement should in no way elevate one group or class of people above another. This is just a statement saying that we value all students. And all students, as one of the commenters said, have different needs. And so it's a struggle, right? It's a struggle to meet every need that every student has. And frankly, my guess is we fail at it because there's so many students and there's not as many of us. But we're doing our darndest to meet those needs. And again, just to reiterate, and then I'll be done. This district, in my opinion, does a very good job of staying out of the political fray. The things that we choose to do here, at least the stuff that I have been involved in, has been very much with students at the center. I do not always, you can ask the people sitting up here, do I agree with them all the time? No, and I will tell them that I disagree with them. But it doesn't have anything to do with politics. It just has to do with differences of opinion, and that's okay. But as far as the DEI statement and everything else that I'm involved in, politics does not play into that. We're not listening to national trends of this or that. We are looking at what is best for our students here in Provo City School District. And we're not perfect, and we fall short, and we're trying to improve. And this is one of the ways we're trying to improve. So if you don't feel that this covers you, shoot me an email. Ask to speak with me. I'd love to have a conversation about it. That's it.
Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor indicate with aye.
Did we get him?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. All right, next we have our consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move we can approve the consent calendar.
Motion made by Board Member Jensen. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Board Member
You can give it to Nate.
Bryson. Is there any further discussion on this motion?
I have some questions.
Okay.
On the warrant report, Derek, on page 2, it says Medical Dairy was paid over $53,000. Does this mean they're finally fulfilling the demand for milk at schools?
So I can't answer that one directly. I would assume that that's what they're using it for, but the Medical Dairy is a very big child nutrition vendor that we use, and so that could have been for a month or two supply ago that we're paying now. It just depends on the invoice and the timing and the delivery and things like that. But I can go and ask them if this was a recent delivery and if it's allowed them to start delivering more and more milk. I know that they're currently doing mainly white or milk or whatever. It's just natural milk and not chocolate milk.
Yeah, I know that we were struggling to get enough milk at the beginning of the school year.
So, but this is the latest invoice that's come in, and I can go back and speak with our child nutrition department and ask that question.
Okay, and then on page 133, I noticed the separate departments within the district are listed. Is this new for this report?
No, this has always been part of it.
Okay.
So this is the P card, procurement card, charges by location or by department essentially. So then it breaks it out two different ways. One's by kind of location, and the other one's by, if I go down below, I believe it's by individual.
And then I had a question on the executive summary on page 2.
Executive summary. The
Graphs?
The graphs, okay.
Yeah, can you divide out the expenses by department for next month's report?
So include the dollar numbers also?
No, just, so right now it's done by object and function.
Correct. Those are our major reporting units to our external auditors in the state.
Yeah, is it possible to do like separate departments? Every department has a budget.
So anything is possible. Some just take more time than others. So I can absolutely, if that's something we're interested in, is that something the board wants to approve? It's not required by state to have anything like that approved. I mean, we're doing way above and beyond currently right now.
My feeling is,
it'll blow this report up because we've got.
My feeling is that I feel like if you want more detailed, I'm fine with how it is, that maybe you could go to Derek and ask him.
I think a problem with breaking it up by department, at least in my opinion, and I'm not saying it's a bad idea or a good idea, is since it's not required by state, it makes it really difficult to compare with what other districts are doing. And so like numbers on their own to me aren't very useful, but numbers compared to what other districts are doing, that's useful because I can see who's spending more and who's doing less. And I've looked at these numbers because these are the CAFR numbers, and you know, I love the CAFR, and I've always wished that, like Terry's saying, that they went into a lot more detail, because a lot of times you get a big number, especially like administration. Like to me, that's one of the most egregious, or support, because it differs from district to district, and so a lot more detail would be helpful if everyone did it. I struggle to know how helpful it would be if we were the only ones doing it, because we wouldn't know if our numbers were good or bad, because we would have nothing to compare it against.
And I'm absolutely happy to give the board whatever they want in terms of financial data and within their time frame they want. I personally love this right here because this is the things I quite enjoy talking about. But to report each, so here's kind of the way we do things in accounting wise, okay? So you have a program, a location, a function, and an object. So a location typically is a department, right? So let's take Provo High School. And if we pulled their location budgets, the problem is they've got 300 different programs that are all different on how they can spend the money. And so it's literally one of those graphs for all those different programs, unless you wanted a super high level just like that for just the location. And then at that point, it wouldn't mean anything because you've got all those different programs that are being ran differently that we have to track separately. So I'm happy to, I think there just would need to be a very meaningful discussion about what data the board would like to see and how to present it, because just throwing up the department or location percentage like this isn't going to mean much, because they've got so many different programs over there and they can be spent on different things. And so I don't think it will be as meaningful as if there was some other way that we had like a lengthy discussion about what you would want to see.
Okay, well, to your point, I don't care what other school districts are doing. I want to know what our school district is doing. I want to know by department. One of the things that I'm getting feedback from my neighborhoods is that they want to know how the school district is spending their money, and this kind of graph is too vague. I want more details.
Terry, were you able to take, when we were at USBA, we took a class on the website, and I believe even Jared was using it.
No, I didn't do that.
Okay.
But
there's a really great website that breaks down exactly how money is spent, even down to like the school and the classroom, which may answer some of the questions that you have.
It's not in the classroom that people want to know. They want to know about the district office and what is being spent in each department.
So we do upload all that information to transparency.org. One of the things we could do, and this would be completely the discussion here, is, there's one of the things that I currently utilize, and that's what I sent out to the board in those weekly emails before this and NASBA happened. But with that email that I send out with a graph that kind of compares us to other districts, we can build something out like that and display it to where it's interactive and people can filter and do things and whatever. I would caution that we only do it quarterly and not monthly, because we have to go, there are adjustments and things that need to be made. And when we do it, we upload transparency. At that point, we're essentially validating the data for that quarter, saying, okay, we believe this quarter is materially accurate. And so to try and do it monthly, I don't think is wise, just because what may be there 1 month, now all of a sudden, hey, we did a journal entry and moved it from here to here, and now it looks different. So I would recommend that if we went something that route, that we did it quarterly, but I'm happy to,
So is June the next end of quarter, or?
So our quarters go from July 1st to September 30th. That's a quarter. October, November, December is the next quarter, and so forth. So, and then January, February, March, another quarter, like we just ended one, and then the next end is June, correct?
So what I would like to do is put this on as part of our agenda in either the end of this month, or not, we won't have another one in May, and have a discussion like we did on our business, on our meeting minutes, and have a discussion if this is the way the board wants to move forward.
Okay. Something I would also like added to that is I have no idea what the board's budget is, and I've been on the board for over a year. Do we even have a budget? Like, that would be something that we should know.
So that kind of depends.
I don't know if the other 6 of you even know what it is.
I believe that we are underneath the superintendent.
And I have no idea what budget that is.
So that's every district has different programs, okay, and the way they order locations or where they budget for things. Right now, currently, as Melanie stated, the board's budget is part of the superintendent's budget, broken out and combined into that. I have seen it to where other districts have broken it out as a specific board program, so that way the board knew that one program and could see the program. But it's all kind of going to be dependent on what the board and the superintendent would like to do.
I would like to know what the numbers are.
We can get those.
And I can, if you would like to know what the board's specific piece that they have, I can send out an email to let you know what that exact number is, because it's right now currently combined with Keith, so I couldn't go in and just pull that specific number real easy.
Okay. That's all my questions.
Any further questions? All right, all those in favor indicate with aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, we're going to have a board member report by Rebecca Nilsson, our vice president.
Give me a second. Okay, so we ended up discussing this in study session actually today, which was coincidental. I did not plan to do the exact same thing for my board report, but lucky for all of you, you get to hear it again. So here we go. So on the Board of Education handbook on page 5, it reads, in the responsibilities section, one of our responsibilities as board members is to participate in professional development and commit the time and effort necessary to be an informed and effective leader. So my board report tonight will be a report on what I personally have been doing as a board member to fulfill that responsibility. And I'm going to go over 4 quick things I do and have been doing recently as a board member to be properly trained and hopefully be an informed and effective leader. The first thing is that this year I've been privileged to be able to participate in the CITES program. CITES stands for the Center for Improvement of Teacher Education and Schooling. It is a local partnership with BYU and 5 other districts in the area. And what we do is we get together for 2 full days at a time throughout the course of a school year and study in depth particular topics in education. And we get formal training on these topics. Some of the topics we have studied this year so far are democracy in education, nurturing pedagogy, equity and access, stewardship, and then our last session will be this Thursday and Friday, and we'll be studying renewal. This has been and will be, once I complete it, 10 full work days dedicated to studying these topics in depth. And it's been an excellent opportunity, something that I have really enjoyed being able to take advantage of and being a part of. It's been very good for training on a kind of a local level, and for training on things that happen in our classrooms, which is so great for board members to be up on and to be have a really good understanding of. One of my favorite parts of this training is a really great article that I came across that if you ever want to know exactly what it's like to be a school board member and what kinds of challenges we face, check out this article, or actually I apologize, it's a book called How Good People Make Tough Choices. It's by Rushworth M. Kidder. Check out chapter 1 in particular. Fabulous book, and if you really want a good idea of what we do, that'll give you a very good summary. The second thing that all of us school board members do, and that I did recently, is we attend the USBA conference every year. USBA stands for Utah School Boards Association, and so all the school boards from across the state get together on a yearly basis for state-level training. Some of the topics I in particular studied there, because you get to pick your classes, are building trust, how our Utah public education funds are specifically used dollar for dollar down to schools and classrooms, changes in Utah education law, effective board communication, effective goal planning, and endurance. One of my favorite parts of that training was a class I took on effective board communication tips and tricks from Jeffrey P. Haney from the Canyon School District, so shout out to Canyon School District. I literally have 4 full pages of valuable notes from that class, and it was an incredibly great, valuable training, things I think about and use all the time. The next professional development I have participated in more recently, and actually that I've been doing ever since I've gotten on the board, is the USBA Power Up System /MBA Award. MBA stands for Master Boards Award. And this is a system that our state has put together to make sure that school board members across the state are being trained on a regular basis for things they need to know. It includes state-required annual trainings, in addition to extra things that we can do, such as continuous improvement, advocacy, community engagement, and collaborative relationships, accountability, and effective governance. So those have been very, very effective as well. One of my favorite parts of USBA Power Up is the fact that they have us read books. And through this training, I discovered one of my very, very favorite education books entitled Children of the Dust Bowl by Jerry Stanley. I recommend it. Take a look, and you won't regret it. It's a short read. It's a fabulous read. It's life-changing. The last thing that I've done in the recent past to work on my professional development is attend the National School Boards Association Conference. This year we attended that in San Diego. This is a yearly training, and it focuses more on national topics. Some of the topics I in particular studied this year were non-defensive communication skills, whole child framework, politicization of school boards, tips for success, modeling civility, the science behind reading, reimagined early learning, and how, one of my favorites, lessons learned from Mr. Rogers still apply to education today. My favorite thing, though, from that one was the reimagined early learning space as demonstrated by the Pewaukee School District in Wisconsin. Shout out to Pewaukee School District. And so if you want to see a great early learning center and some really incredible things that they've done for early learning there, you can look up their website and see some great examples there. So the reason I wanted to do this for my report today is not to bore you, which if you're still listening, thank you, but really to show this is really for the public. I know a lot of us who are here in this room already know that we're doing this, but I don't know if the public knows and understands that us board members, we take our responsibilities very seriously. I will speak for myself. I know I'm not allowed to speak for the board, but I'm guessing that each one of us here would say the same thing, that we take our responsibilities very seriously. And I take these trainings very seriously. And every single one that I've mentioned has been very influential on the things that I've been able to accomplish as a school board member. And I'm actually really grateful that that is one of our responsibilities, because I will be very blunt in saying that I was very unaware of what I was facing as a school board member when I first came on. I had no idea what this was going to be like. And this training has been instrumental in being able to function as a school board member and hopefully be an effective one. So I hope the public can know and understand that we really are doing our best. We're doing a lot. We're taking time out of our family lives, out of our actual real jobs, to be able to be good members of the school board and to hopefully do our best for the kids and for the staff and the teachers and everyone involved. So that's my report.
Thank you. All right, next we're going to have our superintendent's report.
Okay, so I have two quick items. One is in keeping with policy and procedure 4006, I have approved 3 out-of-state travels. Now, normally that goes to the board, but in this case, these are vocational programs that are going to specialized activities out of state, and you have to qualify here in state and regionally before you can get to the nationals. So it's not something that that can be brought before the board in too much of a timely way. Plus, we never really know how many are going to qualify from year to year. So sometimes there's only 1 or 2, sometimes there's 10 or 12. But anyway, so there are 3 from TIMFU, 3 groups from TIMFU. That's Future Business Leaders of America, FCCLA, and also the TSA, the Technology Group National Conference, respectively Chicago, San Diego, and Dallas. The other thing I wanted to say was before the board meeting today, it was actually a nice, relatively warm day outside, so I decided to go to the TIMFU High School girls softball game, and not only was it remarkably dusty, and I still taste the dust in my mouth from how windy it was out there, but it's too bad Mark left because I wanted to pay significant praise and attention to Mark Wheeler and the maintenance and operations team. That, you know, my lawn at my house is gray. The lawn out there at the softball field is beautiful green, well manicured, and very not only attractive but very functional. So thank you to our grounds folks for all the work they're doing to get our fields ready for spring sports. That's my report.
Thank you, Superintendent. Well, we've come to the end of our meeting, and we want to say thank you for coming. And is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, good evening.